Let's talk about the Animorphs comic book by Chris Grine, because that's coming out on October 6th. If you haven't pre-ordered your book now, why not? Go do it, you sacks of shite. Go buy it, because I'm going to buy it, and so should you. Even if you don't really like the style of the comic book, this is Animorphs. We need to go buy this stuff in bulk so that it gets to the top of whatever charts it goes to, so that people take notice. Even if you don't like the formats of comic books and you don't really want to get it, just get it for somebody for a birthday or Christmas. Go do it now. Yes, I am telling you, I'm ordering you, because I am the master of Animorphs. I'm the #1 fan. Let's move on to the actual content of this video. Chris Grine, who is the adapter, or the illustrator for the Animorphs comic book, has taken some interviews. And we're going to read through one now, and there's also some snippets of the comic book, and we're just going to have a quick look at them, and I'm going to give my opinions. The article is on HollywoodReporter.com, and it starts, How Animorphs Transformed into a Graphic Novel. Chris Grine talks about reviving the popular young reader series. An entire generation of readers grew up tracking the war between the Yeerks and the Animorphs as part of K.A. Applegate's Animorphs series of books, which ran from 1996 through 2001. Now, a whole new generation of readers is about to become part of the conflict as Scholastic's Graphics imprint launches a new series of Animorphs graphic novels. In Animorphs, The Invasion, debuting next month, cartoonist Chris Grine adapts the first novel of the series, introducing Jake, Rachel, Cassie et al., not to mention Visser 3, the antagonist of Proceedings, as the intergalactic conflict arrives on Earth once again, now in comic book form. Now, there is something to say about Scholastic finally pushing Animorphs to the forefront, it seems. Getting comic books, getting movies, they're finally saying, right, now is the time to try again with this Animorphs series, because they had reprints back in 2011, which didn't really go anywhere, but, you know, reprinting books with different covers isn't going to grab the market. Movies and comic books might. So Scholastic is finally pulling its fucking finger out and doing something about this high quality classic series. Now, I'm not going to go through all this article because there's quite a lot of here, and I want you to go visit the page and view it yourself. I'll put a link to this article in the description. But there's just a couple of points I want to cover, and then we'll look at the comic book pages that have been put on this website. So yeah, if you're interested in knowing what Chris Grine has to say about his adaptation of Animorphs, go see the link and see what questions he got and what answers he gave. One thing that I will point out, Hollywood Reporter asks, are there plans to continue the series? The original prose book series continued for a long time. There are more than 50 titles. Would you want to tell an abridged version of the story across the next few years, or were you thinking of this as a one-off project? Chris Grine replies, I'm currently adapting books 1 to 3. Beyond that is up to Scholastic, but I would love the opportunity to do more, especially because books 4 and 5 introduce one of the most beloved characters in the series, and I would be super disappointed if someone else got to do that. I'm currently doing the art for books 2, The Visitor, or book 2, The Visitor, which should be out sometime next fall, and book 3, The Encounter, the following year. Animorphs The Invasion will be released in bookstores October 6th. Read on for an exclusive preview. The thing that worries me is that it's every year. So October 6th this year is The Invasion. Next year is The Visitor. And the year following is The Encounter. How many books have we got here? A heckin' lot. Now, I don't expect to live much past the age of 60, in all honesty. And I'm almost 30 now. So by the time I pop my clogs, we'll have gotten up to, I'd say, maybe 40. If this carried on, which it won't, because I don't think any series would, unless they got very, very lucky, would still be carrying on after 40 odd years. But I wouldn't get to the end of the series. When I was born, I was around at the time when, you know, I was peak Animorphs at peak age, or peak age for Animorphs, whatever. So I don't know how they're planning to do this. They're asking him, would you do an abridged series, which makes more sense. I mean, do we really need a comic version of this? I mean, some people might want it. But what will probably happen is, in 3 years' time, we'll have 3 books, and Scholastic will say, okay, we've probably by this point just had the movie. hopefully that's when we've got these 3 comics and they've been successful, we've had a successful movie, and they say, right, now, 4 a year. And Chris Grine will be drawing like mad, but he'll be gainfully employed. I think this is a tester. And I don't think Scholastic are planning 60 years of comic books. I don't think they're looking that far ahead, funnily enough. So it's just something that I'm very wary about how they're going to do this. Because I don't think it's very obvious. And I'm not sure how successful it will be. But, you know, can't predict the future, can we? Let's look at some pages from this comic book. I think what we're getting here, I'm pretty certain what we're getting, is the scene after the Elfangor situation. Where Jake wakes up and Tobias comes in and morphs Dude, and they all have a rollicking good time. The dialogue is pretty fair, you know, I think it's accurate to the books. The main point of contention is always going to be the style. And I've seen people on both sides of the aisle. That's a nice poem, isn't it? Write that down. So, Animorphs is a very dark, very intense series. And a lot of people will look at this style and think, this isn't a match. At first I thought that as well. I thought it looked a bit cartoony. I've grown to it a bit. And I think once the comic book actually comes out, I will fall quite solidly into the, yeah, I'm satisfied category. But I have seen people who really, really are against this art style. Granted, they are a minority, and you're never going to please everyone. So let's keep that in mind. It is very cartoony. A lot of ways, I think that can work. The characters look charming, and they can look friendly, they can look angry, to an exaggerated degree, which puts across their emotions pretty plainly. And it can be quite funny at times. I especially like the picture of Homer in a trance. Poor old fellow. I think the one thing that still gets me about the character's design is the nose. I don't know why, there's just something about the nose of these characters, or the noses of these characters. Let's be grammatically correct here. I don't know, they're just bulbous and shiny, and red, and I don't know why. But if they just changed the nose a bit, I'd be spot on. Yeah, happy, but they look like Santa's elves running around. And Tobias as well. I always pictured Tobias's hair. Hold on, let's see if we can find the book. 43, yeah, that's one. So Tobias's hair is relatively short. Blonde. That's probably a bit not messy enough, really. But I always pictured Tobias with sort of medium length hair, sort of like Jake's length of hair here. In fact, looking at Jake's hair, that's how I pictured Tobias's hair, only blonder. Tobias's hair, he looks like a failed emo from the late 2000s. Greasy hair that just goes drooping and horrible. Yeah, greasy, and it doesn't look like Tobias to me. It just doesn't. But he's not going to be looking like that for long. So we only have to put up with it for one book. Don't worry. But yeah, I'm on the fence about a lot of the style. But I think I will understand it, and I think I will appreciate it in time. Especially when it comes to the aliens. I mean, the Hork-Bajir don't look quite right when you consider their book appearances. For one thing, they're missing the standard beak, and they've got serrated jaws. Serrated means basically sharp and rigid, which I don't think makes sense considering they eat bark. So I think their jaws are wrong, but apart from that, the Hork-Bajir look fine. Taxons look good. Andalites, I'm waiting to see more content before I crack on with that. But, you know, this is all in due time, and I'm still ordering you to order these books because I'm, for one, going to have it centerpiece here. So, Chris Grine, good job. I'm going to be buying your stuff, and no second thoughts. No mistake. So, Thank you very much for watching. I hope you go out and buy this. If you want to discuss it, as soon as the book comes out, we'll have a little comic book section on the Animorphs Discord. You can find a link in the description below. Go read my fan fiction and follow me on Twitter at TomSeep91. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you all again soon.